McDonald's worker in Denmark, for doing the same low-skill job, makes $22 per hour. Well, hold on, you hear Reader's Digest scream from across the Atlantic.
Wow.
McDonald's workers in America get paid vacation days after just a year of work. Wow.
No, it don't compare.
What's good, y'all? It's the Demouchets React, and we're back with another video.
Who we got today, C?
Today we are back with another American reaction.
Yes.
This time we will be reacting to why other countries treat their people so much better
Then our country?
than our country. Now this is going to be a little bit interesting because I don't know because what you may think is better is not better for us.
Right.
So I'm a little bit interested to see what this topic entails. But if you're new to us and we're new to you, make sure you scroll down, hit the red subscribe button, and turn on the post notification bell because we're on the road to 50K. And we cannot get there without you guys.
Facts.
All right? Join the family. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
This episode and others like it are made possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help me make more content like this, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. I'm going to say something that will probably offend many of my viewers. Let me preface this by saying that I, as an American, include myself in the following statement. Americans are quite possibly the most willfully ignorant people on the face of the planet. We have access to the sum total of all human knowledge, yet our understanding of the world rarely extends beyond our own country.
True.
And even then, the majority of Americans believe in a vision of the country that does not actually exist. It's not that we're stupid, we just tend to blindly accept that the US is the greatest place on Earth, and therefore don't see any reason to educate ourselves about the realities of the rest of the world. In this episode, we're going to pull back the curtain on how America actually compares to other countries, and consider why the richest country on Earth fails to treat its people with dignity and fairness. I'm going to provide a list of important topics, then for each item we'll compare the American experience with that of citizens from other nations.
Okay, so I love the fact that he is an American.
Yeah.
So we're going to be getting an unbiased viewpoint.
He won't be so harsh.
Right, he won't be so harsh. You know, saying everything in America is bad. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see this now. At first I was a little bit nervous because, you know, we've been reacting to a lot of American type of content and it's been kind of bashful, you know. But again, like we have been sharing time and time again, there is no perfect country.
True, that is true.
We have a lot of bad, but we also have a lot of good, just as well as any other country.
Yeah, so we do paint a lot of areas that make people a little upset about, you know, America. But there's also great areas that a lot of these videos have yet to really point out.
Right.
So I hope we don't go too crazy about how we don't, you know, love one another. Because we love each other. Trust me, we do. All right.
Yeah.
But we're going to dig into this video. We do have a love hate, but you know how it is. You know how it be sometimes. Let's see what they say though.
Hopefully by providing a side-by-side comparison, you'll be able to see the stark contrast between how most
turtleneck
Americans see their country and how it really stacks up against the competition. To give you an idea of just how skewed the American perception of our country really is, let's start with a pretty shocking example. Compensation for what are considered low-skill jobs. We'll take the quintessential American company, McDonald's. McDonald's is the world's largest restaurant chain by revenue. It operates in over 100 countries and serves over 69 million customers every day. As of 2018, McDonald's was the second largest private employer, with 1.7 million employees, behind Walmart's 2.3 million. How many times have you heard someone refer to McDonald's jobs or workers in a derogatory manner? For some reason, people who work at McDonald's are seen as inferior or lazy or have any number of other unfair and unkind assessments leveled at them.
That's not
This
true.
probably stems from the old notion of flipping burgers being a job anyone can perform. But the animosity towards low-wage workers has grown significantly in the past few decades. And in America, McDonald's workers really do suffer a low wage. As of 2020, the average crew member at McDonald's makes $9 per hour.
So because they suffer at a low wage pay doesn't mean they're lazy people.
It doesn't.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes just having a good job, which I mean, McDonald's is a good job to have. It won't benefit you 100% like you really wanted to.
They got new benefits though.
Well, you gotta think about it. Back then, minimum wage was what, $7.25.
It is. It still is that.
Is it
in
really?
Louisiana? Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know if the.
But I know it went up though.
I don't know if it's going in effect yet, but yeah.
So you mean talking about all my life? These years of living, they're still dealing with 725? Because I started off at 725 once upon a time.
Yeah.
And it's still down there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, that just kind of makes everything difficult then.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we need somebody who's happy to work there. We need we need that hospitality there. You know, we need those workers there.
I guess
the job is valuable.
Yeah, the job is valuable. But at the end of the day, I guess I was trying to say that it's just because the wage is low doesn't make the workers lazy.
Yeah.
All right, they shouldn't be looked upon as lazy individuals for working at a certain type of job. I've been there, done that. You feel me? So I know what it's like having a good job, being able to be happy, getting off at a certain time, create your hours, and this, that, and the third. So, hey.
Cashier makes $8 per hour. The federal minimum wage in the United States is $7.25, a rate which has not been raised in over a decade, and which should not be considered a reasonable wage
I read
for
the
any
wrong news,
position,
y'all. I
considering the
apologize.
fact that a full-time minimum wage worker cannot afford to rent a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States, and can't afford a 1-bedroom apartment in over 95% of U.S.
But
counties.
that's because the wage is so low. Again, that don't make them lazy. And it just makes it more hard to get what they want.
Right, and they get taxed.
Yeah, you gotta think about tax.
Yeah.
Ugh, the taxes really rips them of all their hard work.
I mean, it does, but I mean, some people, that is the only job that they can have. Like now, you remember when I graduated college, I applied to over 100 jobs. I was overqualified for those jobs and still got looked over.
Right.
You know, so
yeah, that's crazy.
It's the qualifications for the jobs today is outrageous compared to what they want the person to already have.
Right.
Like, it's
God forbid if you have a record. Because then you gotta really, really, get down and dirty to get a job that fits you, because some jobs don't accept those type of backgrounds. Right. I don't care if it's restaurant, I don't care if it's corporate. They got some jobs that don't like you. You can get lucky and you can find someone that works with you, but at the end of the day, it's more difficult at that point.
And so the people who are just getting out of jail, who has a record, some of the first places they go is the restaurant industry, because that's who would hire them, and they be the best workers.
Heck yeah.
And we need those people. McDonald's is a valuable job to have.
It is.
People stop to get something quick to eat every single day. We need to have people there who knows what they're doing, not just high schoolers there.
Right, and then you got to think about the job as with McDonald's. It's an interactive job. Though you may be in the kitchen, you may still be able to see from a window the people that's in the lobby, and you can have a real conversation with just from that point. People that's at the window, that's taking orders, they have a conversation from that point. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of interaction that's going on too. So you got to have good hospitality. You can't
teach them people skills.
It does teach them. Yeah.
To get into those receptionist jobs, to get into those, I can't name anything else right now, but to get into those type of jobs.
McDonald's is a good resume to have. Right. Not a good resume. It's good. It's a good job to have on your resume.
Right.
It really is. Yeah.
Now, the all too common response to data like this is something like, well, yeah, it's not a hard job. You should just find a better one. Here's a simple question. Should any job, regardless of technical skill required, pay workers so little that they cannot afford to rent even the smallest place to live? Not to mention other necessities like utilities, food, and medicine. Absolutely not. That is inhumane and cruel, especially coming from the second largest employer in the richest country on the planet. Other notable objections include, McDonald's has to make a profit. If they pay their workers more, they might go out of business. First of all, if you can't pay your workers a fair wage, your company should not be in business.
You may go out of business.
But again, McDonald's is not struggling to make ends meet. In 2019, McDonald's raked in $21 billion in revenue. But no matter how obvious the exploitation of low-wage workers, Americans are hell-bent on praising the very companies doing the exploiting. Take this article on Reader's Digest, for example. It's titled, "This is what McDonald's workers really get paid." You see that and think, oh, nice. Finally some news showing how poorly these workers are compensated. Then you scroll down and, nope, they're actually praising McDonald's, saying things like, the food chain is also great for paying their workers fairly.
You know
McDonald's is one of the highest paying fast food chains in the United States. This level of sycophancy is insane. If $8 or $9 an hour is some of the highest pay in the industry, that doesn't indicate that McDonald's is paying fairly. It
We didn't say they was paying fairly.
Nah.
We say it's a valuable job
It's a
to
very
have.
valuable job. I don't think it's the highest paid. I want to know what they getting paid big bucks at McDonald's at. Let me know.
That's the management levels.
Probably so, yeah.
Above.
They're getting that salary pay, you feel me? So they can walk out with a nice check at the end of the month.
Yeah, they can walk outside. Maybe not a Mercedes, but they can walk outside.
If they
with
know
a
how
nice
to
car.
budget their money, they can walk out with a Mercedes. McDonald's, anytime you get paid on salary jobs, I feel like you have an opportunity to collect more revenue. But if you work in a base job, is it there? Is it still there?
No.
Did you get it?
I got it.
All right, if you work in a base job, then you have so much more to fight for because you're not making the ends, stretch the way you want it to, man. You gotta think about it. Once them taxes hit, that's a wrap. You probably have enough for a light bill.
Maybe.
And then and something to eat for the rest of the week.
Yeah, but I mean, the manager shouldn't be able to get off of work and hop into a Mercedes while their workers have to call for a ride because they don't have a car and they can't afford a car.
100% facts. Yeah.
That shouldn't be the case. So yes, it's a valuable job, but they need to up their pay. And again, like I said, they have added new benefits. I know I saw like on a poster or something to where they will help you with your college education. So they have added benefits, but they need to up that minimum wage.
Right.
Kate, that a massive chunk of the population is being paid poverty wages. This is where taking an international perspective is so critical. If all you see is feel-good stories about how well McDonald's workers are paid, you'll never know how badly American workers are actually being treated. Company, the same position, but in a different country.
Okay.
Here's a McDonald's in Denmark. The average McDonald's worker in Denmark, for doing the same low-skill job, makes $22 per hour. Well, hold on, you hear Reader's Digest scream from across the Atlantic.
Wow.
McDonald's workers in America get paid vacation days after just a year of work. Wow.
No, it don't compare.
In Denmark, when you're hired at McDonald's, not only are you making nearly 3 times what you would make in an American Mickey D's, you also instantly have access to a full year of paid family leave and a pension.
Wow.
No slaving away for a year to prove your
Pension.
value
Heard
to the
that part.
company. You're hired and you're treated fairly. Simple as that. McDonald's can afford to compensate all their workers like this, but they won't. Because U.S. laws allow them to exploit American...
Yo, I paused this video just to say I have no comment. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
That's crazy.
workers to the point where they're basically slaves, earning the bare minimum to survive, paying all of their income and often going into debt just to pay rent, and having no way to escape this vicious cycle because they're working such long hours. This is the case across all of America's low-wage jobs, of which there are many. The plight of the low-wage worker is incredibly dire, and all you have to do to understand that is look at how those same workers are treated in other wealthy countries. Let's move on to another topic.
Please.
Work-life balance.
That made me upset.
Fair wages are definitely part of this equation. If you're paid fairly, you don't need to work a second job, which will free up your time to be spent elsewhere. But we're going to focus
many
on
people
other
work second
metrics,
jobs out here.
specifically the length of the work week, vacation time, and parental leave. Let's start with the US. Most Americans would say that 40 hours per week is full-time. That seems to be the general consensus. But, in keeping with the country's exploitative labor practices, the hilariously named Fair Labor Standards Act does not actually define what qualifies as full-time. That's left up to the employer. Okay, why does this matter? Well, think of your past part-time jobs. Did you get any benefits? Healthcare, 401k? Probably not. Most benefits, when they're offered at all, are reserved for full-time employees. Companies don't want to provide benefits because they affect their bottom line. America is all about cutting costs.
Okay, cool beans, right? But check this out. They're not taught about benefits coming up. We're not taught about benefits. We're not taught to, hey, when you get a job, make sure that you have benefits that's going to help you make everything else run smoothly for you. They just say, get a job.
Yeah. They don't say what type of job. They just say, get a job or go to college, get a job.
Right. They don't, it's like benefits is not the conversation.
Nah.
At some point it is, but it's like... It's
you
not,
learn it on your own.
You got to learn it on your own.
Providing workers with fair compensation is a cost. So, imagine you apply for a full-time job at Best Buy. You're offered the job, but they tell you they only have part-time positions, but they can give you almost full-time. They make it sound like they're doing you a favor, offering you more hours than normal part-time. But this is just another example of employers exploiting their workers. If you work 37 hours per week, you're essentially a full-time employee, but they don't have to provide you any sort of benefits. No healthcare, no vacation, nothing. This is a common practice. Companies will hire people, but keep them just below the threshold for full-time to avoid providing fair compensation. I've seen it happen. I used to work at Best Buy, and they would do it all the time. And that's just the companies who are still trying to appear generous. Others will simply not offer benefits at all, or set their full-time positions at 50 or 60 hours per week. Sales positions are notorious for this. They'll often say, well, we expect you to work 40 hours, but all the top sellers are working 60 to 70 hours per week. This is coercion. They're trying to pressure you into working more hours to benefit them, and the compensation is never what they claim it will be. By allowing employers to define full-time work, American workers are held captive by corporations, forced to either work absurd hours to qualify for full-time benefits, or find a second job to help cover the cost of things like health insurance. Both of these options lead to a terrible work-life balance, and as real wages have decreased and benefits have been offered less and less over the years, huge numbers of American workers have developed an unhealthy work-life balance. For example, in 1960, when workers had real bargaining power, only 20% of American women worked. Today, 70% of children live in households where both parents are working full-time. Where does all this lead? As of 2020, over 85% of American men and 66% of women work more than 40 hours per week. We work 137 more hours per year than Japanese workers, 260 more than the British, and 499 more hours per year than the French. Why do other countries have such a better balance? Because many of them have laws that cap the length of the full-time work week. Companies are required to pay their workers fairly and allow enough time off for employees to maintain a healthy work-life balance. That's not the case in the US. Vacation time is a similar story. Whereas many other countries mandate that employers provide paid vacation and sick days, the US does not. In every industrialized nation, workers get more paid vacation days and holidays than in the US. Here's a depressing graph to illustrate just how poorly we treat our workers. France 31, Spain 34, Austria 38, America 0. 0 paid vacation days, 0 paid holidays. And remember, these are the mandated figures. Every Austrian worker gets a minimum of 38 paid days off per year.
38.
Even in the worst possible employment situation, they'd still get 38 paid days off. In the US, many workers are lucky to get Christmas or Thanksgiving off at all. And the odds that it's a paid holiday? Next to 0. Let's move on to our final comparison. Paid parental leave. Many Americans aren't even aware this is a thing, so let me explain. When an employee of a company has a child, sometimes they're offered parental leave, a period of time where they can stay home from work to bond with and take care of their new baby. This greatly benefits the employee, the child, and, in the long run, the company, because the employee will be happier, less stressed, and more loyal to the company. Of course, offering paid parental leave doesn't benefit corporations in the short term. And if there's one thing that encapsulates the American business philosophy, it's short-term gains over all else. So it won't surprise you to learn that the US is the only industrialized nation on the planet that does not mandate some amount of paid parental leave. This may be shocking to my American viewers because being able to get paid to spend time with your newborn child sounds like an impossible dream in our dystopian labor market. And
I didn't know about this until my third child.
I know.
It's crazy. My first child is 9 years old. So imagine the time, all that time, you feel me, that was lost. That I didn't get a chance to have those real bonding moments because I had to work so hard.
You had the weekend off.
And that was just like 2 days because I had to rest on the third.
Yeah, and the second one, you had a week off. And you took your sick leave.
I had to use my sick leave in order for me to bond with my child.
Yeah, but the third one...
I used it all, baby.
You was able to take 5 months off.
I used it all.
5 months off, so that was good. And
right.
Then, yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
honestly, it probably is impossible in our current America. We're so invested in self-destructive capitalism that even suggesting the possibility of paid parental leave would put U.S. politicians out of a job. That's not the case in the rest of the industrialized
Maybe they
world.
don't need a job.
In fact, every other OECD nation, and even in many third world countries, new parents are guaranteed at least several weeks of leave. Let's take a look at a few of them. Ethiopia, a country with an annual gross national income of under $900 per person, offers 90 days of leave with 100% pay. Madagascar, 14 weeks at 100%. Afghanistan, 90 days. Denmark, 52 weeks. Norway, 56 weeks. France, 16 weeks at 100% pay for your first child, up to 26 weeks for your third, on top of 104 unpaid weeks. Lithuania, 52 weeks at 100%, plus an additional 52 weeks at 80%. Again, the United States does not mandate a single day of paid parental leave, even for the mother, and the father is never considered. This
Never.
means that workers in
Never.
America have to choose to either pay the exorbitant cost of childcare or have one parent quit their job in order to take care of the child.
Facts.
These are both bad options, which often
Yeah.
lead to economic precarity. But that doesn't matter to the companies employing American workers. Profit is the only thing that matters. Hopefully seeing these labor practices compared like this has made it clear that not only is the US not living up to its claim to being the greatest nation on earth, but also that it consistently ranks poorly and often dead last in terms of labor metrics. Why is it that the wealthiest, most powerful nation on earth can't pay their workers a fair wage, or provide health care, vacation time, or
Where the money
even right to
going?
leave? You should realize by now that it's not that they can't, it's that they won't. Everything in America is beholden to the almighty dollar. Profit is the only motivator. If an action does not produce a greater profit, it will not be considered. Over the last few decades, Americans have watched as our livelihoods, our quality of life, and our dignity have all been stripped away by those who already make obscene amounts of money. Those in power say we're all in this together, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The ultra-wealthy and the world's largest corporations rely on Americans remaining ignorant. They rely on us accepting the lie that America is the greatest nation on earth, that it couldn't possibly get any better. All you have to do to shatter that lie is to take a look around the world. Other nations take care of their citizens. Even impoverished nations, or nations that we've bombed into oblivion, take better care of their people than the US does. American workers need to relearn the language of class struggle, and work together to break the wheel of the capitalist machine. If we want to claim that the United States is the greatest place on earth, we need to make it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like
Basically.
definitely, this is the tip of the iceberg though of what we got going on out here, y'all. This is nothing compared to all the other things that you have no clue about. But yeah, that's some ridiculous stuff to me, man.
Yeah, it's very ridiculous. The one that stood out the most to me was about the parental leave
Yeah.
and all of that. And of course, we have gotten better, but the only reason we have gotten better is by changing jobs, because it's not federally mandated or mandated on the state level. You know, the only reason you are able to take 5 months off for the baby was because of the job you had. But let's say if you were still at the second job, which was the most,
It was the worst. It was the worst.
yeah,
It was hands down the worst.
way past 40 hours a week.
Nobody knew them.
Not knowing when you got off.
The bare minimum of what went down, boy. Hey, it was.
Not knowing what time you get off.
Man, they have jobs like that where you work and there is no cutoff time.
Yeah.
Like you work until the job is done, and
That
depending
was-
on your crew, yeah, whatever they got going on, and you part of that, you know, you gonna have to work even harder to make sure that everything.
Yeah.
Good. And then you stretching your money out. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to make as much money at the same time as
Right.
staying as long as you possibly can, because and then you still don't get to see your money at the end of it.
Right. And that creates more, problems in work, family life, whatever
In the
balance.
households.
Because by you not being there, that contributed to postpartum depression. With having to take care of a baby, wanting to be with my husband, wanting to have these bonding moments, that created more of a struggle. So, y'all.
Yeah, these jobs literally stops you from having an experienced lifestyle.
Yes.
Like you're literally working to live every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Gotta break chains though.
We have so many stories. Thank God we're not in those predicaments anymore.
Yeah, that's some big shoes some people gonna have to come back and try to fill. But hey, if you got a dream, if you got anything, one of those, you feel me, chase it, you know what I'm saying, make it possible.
Don't we look so much happier? Although y'all didn't see us during that time.
Facts, yeah.
But we hope you all enjoyed your time with us. Like this video, subscribe, turn on the post notification bell. We'll see y'all soon.
Peace.